In American pop culture, the M16, especially in the 80s and 90s, was an iconic gun. It was seen in many movies and video games, and it seems like the M16 just made appearances all over the place. And this is most likely due to the fact that it was the good guys' choice weapon throughout American history. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at a blaster that really does the M16 justice. This is a blaster by AGM Mastech, and not only does this thing look like an M16, but it functions like one too. Dust cover opens, shell ejecting, and you're ready to rock. So the AGM Mastech Classic M16 rifle has two variants. Today we're going to check out the EG TAC-22 Bravo and the EG TAC-22 Delta. For the most part, both blasters are identical, except for the 22 TAC Delta comes with a 22 dart drum along with an autoloader. Both versions come with a rechargeable battery, a USB charger, 40 darts, and a bag of shells. And then there's the actual blaster, which actually has a lot of attachments. Starting at the front of the blaster, you have a muzzle. You have a forward hand grip, which is essentially the battery compartment. You have a carry handle, and then you have a buffer tube stock. And just a little bit more about the stock, it is an adjustable stock. It has multi-position and functions like you would expect. Now the stock does not fully pull off, so keep that in mind. And as you can see, it is not a true buffer tube stock. It has been cut flat on the top. So I'm not too certain on the compatibility of this buffer tube stock with other buffer tube stock options. Could work, but I'm not sure if that's how this was intended. On the side of the blaster, we do have a dust cover, which is pretty nice. We have the mag release, and this is for a right-handed user. Upon priming the blaster, the dust cover will open and eject a shell, if there's one in there. It's also worth noting that you do have sling points on the stock and the forward handguard. Now let's talk about the blaster's operation. So there is a select fire switch on the side of the blaster, which actually allows you to go from manual and automatic. This is not a semi-auto versus burst. This is basically, you can prime it manually or allow the blaster to prime and fire one shot. Keep in mind, when you're in the automatic mode, you cannot manually prime and fire this blaster. If you do so, you will most likely damage or break your blaster. The first review model I had, I actually did this and it didn't end up well. I actually tried to open it up and fix it, but it's a pretty complex system in there. So fortunately, AGM Mastech sent me out a couple new ones for review. So thank you for that. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that you can actually brick these things by misusing them. Now, one of the coolest things about this blaster is essentially it is an AEB, or an electronic firing blaster. And on top of that, it is shell ejecting. So you can actually take 50 caliber foam balls, load it into these shells, and it will be a shotgun blaster. So with all that said, let's go ahead and take this blaster outside, get some chronograph readings, and check its accuracy. Let's grab some chronograph readings off the darts that come with the blaster. 72.8, 76, 74.7, and 75.7. All right, let's shoot some cups at 30 feet. And let's check out semi-auto. So shots seem to be a little bit sporadic and a little underpowered for my liking, but it definitely works. And it's worth noting, when loading the drum, if you let this sticky head stick out ever so slightly, this will actually cause the drum not to feed correctly. So make sure these are always flush. And that's why it's important to use the speed loader for the drums. And let's talk about the shell loader. One of the coolest things about AGM Mastech blasters is the shell loader. So you can open it up, you line up your darts and shells inside here, facing the suction cups up. Then we line up our shells on the bottom here. And once you got it all set up like this, you go ahead and close this up. You can press this lever down, which seat the darts. And then on the side, you insert your magazine here and you load it up. You can then release your magazine and you got a fully loaded magazine. Now the AGM Mastech shell loader is right on the verge of being either a gimmick or whatever. I actually did a time test because a lot of people were commenting, hey, that's not really effective, waste of time, might as well just load it, manually without this thing. And I do have to say that if you're sitting here loading a bunch of magazines, this thing's actually a little bit faster. So I did a time test, show you right here. it is in fact a little bit faster to use the shell loader as opposed to sitting here manually loading the magazines one at a time. Now, I tried to be as fast as I could, but I'm no speed loader myself, so I'm sure there's other people out there that could master that, load that a lot faster than I could. I think where this thing really shines is Luchathor actually made a part that allows you to speed load half darts, and half darts are longer to load because every single shell, the dart sits lower, so you have to actually push something down in there to try to seat it because you need your dart touching the back. Something you can't really do by hand without using some other tool to push down the dart. So in that regards, I can't see this really being faster when loading half darts with Luchathor's part that he developed. So in summary, I just want to say thanks again to AGM Mastech for sending this in. I actually had a lot of fun playing with these blasters. I know these blasters are not like super high performance, but the fun factor makes up for it. Not to mention the fact that in addition to picking up darts, now you got to pick up shells. So that is something worth mentioning, that this is more for just the fun of it. Personally, I probably would not run this in a Nerf event just because a lot of our games are 150 FPS cap. Along with dealing with the shell pickup, dealing with a lower FPS would be make gameplay a little bit difficult. But you know, for maybe a lower cap game, indoor setting, I think this thing would be a lot of fun. In addition, gotta make a note, the profile of this is pretty aggressive, so it's not really the greatest blaster to be playing with out in public, especially in a public park. The overall colors of it are pretty friendly, but you still got that super intimidating profile, which is worth noting. You have to be safe when playing with toys. But with all that said, I wanna thank you for watching today's video. I'm DrFlux. As always, be safe and happy foam flinging.